Maybe Sierra was right. Maybe we're done hiding.
Hello everyone, this is Jacob. We had some technical difficulties while filming this episode and wound up losing about 20 minutes of our own audio. We still had all the video, just none of our commentary, and we did eventually notice the problem and fix it, and then things were, fine after that. My original plan had been to explain this to you guys, fast forward through any of the bits of gameplay that weren't particularly interesting, show you anything that was relevant, and, stop for the cutscenes and stuff like that, get you guys back up to where our commentary is. However, just recently I had a slightly more creative idea. I think that generally speaking, people who are watching this playthrough, and also just people generally know what's going on with Star Wars. Probably if you've clicked on this playthrough and you're watching it, you generally know what the Star Wars are all about, and even if you haven't watched the movies, there's, general cultural osmosis out there. People know what the deal is, and we didn't attempt to go into any kind of explanation of the entire franchise or whatever, because it's so big, unlike with, the Sonic Adventure playthrough, where we talked a little bit about the history of the games and whatnot. We were not ever going to attempt to do that for a bunch of movies and all of the history of this huge franchise, right? However, that's not necessarily fair, because there may be some people coming in here who are watching this who aren't all that familiar with Star Wars and maybe have only seen certain movies, maybe not the prequels, which are the ones that this game primarily is concerned with, because this game takes place before the original movies released between 1977 and 1983, and takes place after the Star Wars prequels, which were released between 1999 and 2005. I think I got all those dates right. Though obviously this is using the aesthetics and elements of the original films. The original films haven't actually happened. A lot of the plot details that are being played with here are stuff that's more being drawn from the original trilogy and from the prequel trilogy and some other expanded material. God, the freaking naming nomenclature, the way that the Star Wars movies are named and organized is just ridiculous. I understand why people get intimidated entering into franchises like this sometimes. Like, the original movies were just called Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. It was fairly straightforward. There's just 3 movies and you watched them. And then George Lucas had to shove everything up its own ass when he made the prequels, and the original movie became Episode 4. It'd be like if J.K. Rowling went back and named Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone / Sorcerer's Stone Wizarding World Book 5 after the Fantastic Beasts things came out. I guess it's actually not that far outside of J.K. Rowling's character now that I think about it. Anyway, generally speaking, kids, the rule of thumb is always release order. Release order is almost always the best choice with any franchise. I can only think of a handful of things off the top of my head where that isn't the case. But anyway, I figured why not at least talk through some of the relevant plot points from the prequel movies for any folks who may not necessarily be in the know. If you want to skip ahead to cutscenes and content from Jedi Fallen Order, you're more than welcome to. Here's a timestamp. You may want to stick around even if you are familiar with the material, though. We're going to try and have a little bit of fun, and you'll be able to watch, some footage of Joey fighting a big frog, and I'm going to try and put as much movie footage in here as I can without YouTube and Lucasfilm getting mad at me. So anyway, here we go. Jacob explains the Star Wars movies. So there are 3 Star Wars prequel films, The Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and Revenge of the Sith. The Phantom Menace is kind of a weirdo mulligan movie that barely has anything to do with the other 2. I mean, it introduces a bunch of characters, and there's some plot points that carry over, but it's more or less self-contained. All that really matters is establishing the setting in that film and some particular events involving one Sheev Palpatine. So in the Star Wars galaxy during the time period of the prequels, the main governing body is the Galactic Republic. It doesn't rule all of space, but it rules a lot of space. And it's got a big Senate, and it also has at the head of it its democratically elected leader, the Supreme Chancellor. And during the course of the Phantom Menace, a fellow named Sheev Palpatine orchestrates a bunch of weirdo situations behind everybody's back to basically manipulate the system and trick everybody into electing him president of space, which he accomplishes in the Phantom Menace. The other faction you kind of need to know about here is the Jedi Knights, who are basically knights or samurai who study magic. The original Star Wars films, we really only see a couple of Jedi, and this is kind of just getting a little bit into the realm of tropes and archetypes and stuff. In those movies, they really are kind of presented as being sort of like knights or samurai, these things of the old world. Kind of feel a little bit like Goemon from Lupin the Third or whatever, characters who have kind of been, time has passed them by a little bit in a world that now has guns. They still have touch with the spiritual things and the magic, which is very powerful, and normal people who kind of live in the modern world don't have that. But when they talk about the old Republic and the old ways, it really doesn't feel like they're talking about 18 years ago, but that kind of winds up being what it is, because the prequels are only set about 18 to 20 years before the original films. But anyway, the Jedi Knights used to be kind of the heads of the Republic's military. They were generals and warriors and stuff. The Republic doesn't have a military anymore. The movies really don't get into the logistics of this. I have to assume that, like, all of the planets within the Republic are responsible for maintaining their own planetary militia for their own defense or something, because, like, the Galactic Republic isn't in charge of all space. They're only in charge of some of it. And even if you're in charge of all of space, you need something to enforce rule of law, which they apparently don't have. It's kind of wild. It's really just there for a plot gimmick for Attack of the Clones. But anyway, the Jedi, it's really not clear exactly what their job is in the modern day. I guess they arbitrate regional conflicts. They're ambassadors for the Senate. And they sit around doing magic and stuff. In the next movie, Star Wars Episode 2 Attack of the Clones, there is unrest in the galaxy because there is a separatist movement of planets that are breaking away from the Galactic Republic and forming their own better government with blackjack and hookers. This is another thing the movies never really get into why they're doing this. There's at least the scantest implication that the separatists are just a bunch of corrupt businessmen, because we see their leaders and it's like a guy who runs the Trade Federation, some bankers, the head of the Robo Union, because that's a thing. But this is just about the moral temperature of the Star Wars prequels in general. The Senate is never really depicted as being that much better. You'd think that they want to be presenting this, shining beacon of democracy, and that's like the point of the movies or whatever. But the Senate is constantly depicted as like incompetent, and the bureaucracy gets in the way of everything. The message in the climax of Episode 1 is the characters have gone on this big journey to get to the government and ask the government for help, though the government doesn't have a military, so I don't know how they were gonna help in Episode 1, but that's neither here nor there. All of Episode 1 is about the characters getting to the Senate and asking for help, and it turns out that the Senate is a bureaucratic mess and they can't accomplish anything, so all the main characters just say, fine, we'll do it ourselves, and they pick up guns and they go back and enact Wild West justice against the bad guys. These movies are all over the place, is what I'm getting at. Especially when you factor in the fact that the girl who in the previous movie said, we're gonna go back and enact Wild West justice because the government can't accomplish anything, about a violent incursion into my homeworld and oppression of my people. In the next movie, she's voting against the formation of a formal military for the government. I guess she just thinks that anytime that anybody has a problem, they should just deal with it themselves. But speaking of voting against the formation of an army, Star Wars Episode 2 Attack of the Clones is about the formation of an army. As it turns out, there is a secret clone army being manufactured for the Republic for the last several years, and nobody really, after they kind of initially say that's odd, nobody ever really questions it again. But again, that's neither here nor there. Basically, I was just talking about the separatists breaking away a second ago. It turns out that Palpatine, he may or may not actually be behind it all the whole time, because you see, Palpatine is the president of space running the Galactic Republic, but he's also secretly pulling the strings of the separatists and specifically trying to create a chaotic war where he will control both sides. So he can position himself as president of space to seem extremely powerful and very smart and to solve all the problems with the war, so the Senate will continually elect him more and more powers, and he can snowball his way into more or less complete control of the galaxy, especially because since he controls both armies, he controls the outcome of the war, and by the end of this, he'll be able to have conquered essentially the entire galaxy, or at least as much of the galaxy as he cares to. There's a lot of planets. I imagine there are some that he just really doesn't mind if he doesn't have them. We'll get into some more of my editorializing in a minute here, but before we get to a cutscene here in Jedi Fallen Order, wrap up a few really quick plot points, because you see, there's even more secrets about Palpatine. It turns out in Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, this Palpatine guy, he is actually what is known in the Star Wars universe as a ghoul, or a dark guy, okay? And the dark guys want nothing more than to kill all of the Jedi, which he successfully accomplishes because the clone army of the Republic, he secretly made that clone army, and he orders all of the clones to just start shooting Jedi in the back of the head, and he successfully kills the vast majority of the Jedi in the galaxy, who are basically the only people who were, the movies suggest capable of opposing him, but really, it seems like willing to oppose him, because when he goes in front of the Senate and announces, I have issued a unilateral order to execute all of the leadership of my military, and also all of the children who live in their church, and also I'm declaring myself emperor for life. Be sure to vote for me in the next election we're never gonna have. The entire Senate cheers. The Star Wars prequels are weird. But anyway, so that's what's going on. You may have heard us talking about Order 66 in previous episodes of this. Order 66 was the order that Palpatine issued that made all the clones turn around and shoot all of the Jedis. Cal here, he clearly was a Jedi during this time period, but he somehow managed to escape by the skin of his teeth. He's been in hiding ever since, because Jedi are wanted fugitives, being hunted down by the soldiers of the Empire, who are no longer clones, now they're just conscripts, and also other dark guys, like the second and ninth or eighth sister, the two sisters, the second and the other one, them, you know, those, we saw them before, you remember, in episode 1, they were there, they had the red swords. I guess only one of them actually pulled out a red sword during that. They both have red swords, I promise. That's not a spoiler. Dark guys, they love red swords. Anyway, we'll talk about some more of this stuff in just a minute here. Now it's time for Jedi Fallen Order cutscene stuff.
You all right, BD?
Well done, whoever you are. You have passed the test I left behind and gained access to the vault and this recording, one of many encrypted logs stored in the droid. I am Master Eno Cordova. I may not know your name, but I know your purpose. The fate of the Jedi Order lies in your hands. This place, this vault, is a sacred temple, built by a vanished civilization known as the Zepho. Meditating here, I was granted a premonition through the Force, a vision of doom. I have placed inside this vault a Jedi holocron, containing a list of the names and locations of young Force sensitives throughout the galaxy. Ahead, you will find the inner chamber of the vault, but also another test. I can only trust this holocron to someone who has followed my path and understands. Seek out the hidden tombs of the three sages and learn to perceive the mysteries of the Force as the Zepho once did. In this droid, you will find everything you need to succeed on this journey. Go to the Zepho homeworld. There, you will find peace in the eye of the storm. Good luck, Jedi. And may the Force be with you.
I guess you were the someone I was supposed to meet. You know, I've been alone for a while now. Without any purpose, just hiding. There's no way to live. Not for a Jedi. Or a droid. Maybe Seer was right. Maybe we're done hiding. Hey, you want to meet some, friends of mine?
And so there you go. It looks like, as I was talking about a minute ago, the Empire wiped out most of the Jedi, but we may have an opportunity here to begin rebuilding the Jedi Order and fighting back against the Empire and all of their evilness and all of that kind of stuff. To continue with some of the stuff that I was talking about a minute ago, I guess on the subject, since we're talking about Force sensitivity. So in the Star Wars verse, you probably, again, already know this kind of stuff. I know that I'm repeating myself for the vast majority of our viewers, but who cares? This is also giving me an opportunity to just talk about stuff that I find kind of interesting. In the Star Wars verse, the Force is just kind of the magical life juice that flows through everything. It's kind of like the life stream in Final Fantasy. It's very Eastern in its mythology in general. And the Force is just kind of something that is around, and some people just kind of have a natural inclination to kind of feel that ebb and flow of the energy in the universe, and they can learn to manipulate it or tap into it in various different ways. Now, the movies and honestly, the franchise in general, depict the Force in different ways. It fluctuates between soft magic and hard magic. If you aren't, and we're going to talk about this a lot more later on in this series, actually. If you're not familiar with these phrases, soft magic and hard magic are two kind of different interpretations of how magic can be written in stories. Hard magic usually has very hard and fast rules, systems, specific ways that it works. Soft magic is usually something that is loosey-goosey, left kind of up and open in the air, and you don't really not only does the audience not have a great understanding of it, but often the characters don't either. It's usually meant to be more of something to inspire kind of awe and mysticism in this setting, right? Star Wars tends to fluctuate between these. The original movies generally kind of go into the soft magic category, where the Force is presented as something very large and very unknowable, and this is just kind of the consequence of a lot of different people working on the series, a lot of fans writing books and building all kinds of other stuff. The series progressively leaned more and more towards hard magic, where there were very specific systems, very specific moves and cool things that people who could use the Force could do. And things got divided into light side and dark side, Jedi and dark guys. I guess I should stop that, Sith. Me personally, I kind of like the Force a lot more as this just kind of unknowable big thing. And even though there are like techniques that can maybe be learned to do, I like it when it's not like, everybody learns that skill. Everyone knows how to throw rocks around and push things, Like in this game, how Cal just apparently has the ability to touch things and feel memories and the past that is connected to them, right? And that's not really, in Sierra comments, that's not a learned skill. It's something that very few Jedi can do, right? It's actually one thing that I kind of appreciate about the way that the Force is presented in the Star Wars sequels, is it generally feels kind of looser and wilder and bigger than in the Star Wars prequels, where it often feels a little bit like a list of video game powers. But to be fair, by that point, there had literally been a couple decades of video games making the Force into video game powers. I guess not a couple decades. Really only about a half a decade by the time that The Phantom Menace came out in terms of like a concentrated dose of Star Wars video games. You get what I mean. Regardless, Force sensitivity is just people who are shown to be attuned to this sort of thing, and it's shown not so much in the Star Wars prequels themselves, but in some of the expanded media for the Star Wars prequels, that the Jedi had lists of kids who had been discovered who had these capabilities, who they would then go and recruit into their organization of warrior monks. The ethics of this are something that sometimes Star Wars questions the ethics of this, and other times it's just kind of presented as it is what it is. Again, Star Wars is kind of weird. This is also just a symptom of a lot of cooks in the kitchen. There's been a lot of people writing stuff for Star Wars over the years, including the people who wrote cutscenes for this very video game. Speaking of cutscenes for this very video game, we're about to see another one, so I'm gonna shut up again for a few seconds.
What's that?
My friend, it appears the Zepho had some interest in Dathomir. Strange. For such a peaceful culture to have any sort of fascination with a place so dark.
Dathomir is a planet and location that features prominently in the Star Wars The Clone Wars television series, and I'm going to talk about it a little bit more during the stuff that we actually recorded when we were filming this episode, because after I realized we'd lost this audio, it was something that I discussed again. So to kind of wrap up our discussion about the Star Wars prequels, one other thing that I want to talk about briefly is the clone troopers, who are kind of weird characters. In the films, they really weren't characters; they were props there to represent how Palpatine was evil and he was and very nefarious and clever, and he was going to turn the Galactic Republic into the Empire because they looked like early stormtroopers. They were not characters. They were presented as their soldiers who are programmed for perfect obedience, which is why when they were told to turn around and shoot the Jedi in the head, they just did it. If I recall correctly, there's some expanded universe stuff about like explaining how there could possibly be an Order 66, and it's like, oh, well, there were other orders like it. There was Order 65, which was kill the Chancellor. There was Order 64, which was kill the Senate, and it's like, that doesn't make it any... Someone had the unilateral authority to assassinate the entire Senate? And the Senate, did they know about this? It's pretty weird. And on lots of different things I've had to try and figure out how to handle this. The Republic Commando books, for example, focus on clone troopers who are not programmed for perfect obedience, who have their own specific personalities, so they can actually react and think when Order 66 happens. But then the Clone Wars television show, which is now the only canon interpretation of that kind of time period, all the other books and games and stuff got wiped from canon. Wiped by the Clone Wars television show, by the way. People freak out, oh, Disney wiped people freak out that Disney wiped out the Genndy Tartakovsky Clone Wars cartoon and other stuff. The CGI Clone Wars TV show that was produced later on, it itself wiped all expanded media having to do with the Clone Wars and the prequels well before Disney ever purchased the property. Basically, any book or comic or video game or whatever that had already existed that conflicted with that show was just instantly decanonized. And by the end of the Clone Wars' run, basically all expanded media about the prequel movies was completely obliterated. But like I was saying, in the prequels, the clones are presented as being programmed for perfect obedience, and in the CGI, the Clone Wars TV, because there's two TV shows, one called Star Wars Clone Wars, which was first, and it was 2D animated, and then there was Star Wars The Clone Wars, which was CG and ran for like 7 seasons, and it's the real one. Anyway, in Star Wars The Clone Wars, they present, they do a different interpretation of how the clones work. Instead, it says the clone troopers weren't programmed for perfect obedience, they actually were their own people, and indeed, one of the big aspects of the Clone Wars TV show is these characters struggling to form their own identities in an army full of people who look just like them. And the Clone Wars TV show tells a lot of really interesting stories about clone troopers. But then it came time for Order 66 to happen and explain how all these characters who we've come to like, who are like human beings, could turn around and shoot their friends in the back of the head without any hesitation in Episode 3. So the explanation was, oh, they had a chip in their brain, and when Palpatine hit the button, the chip activated, and they shot the Jedis in the head. There's a lot of... I could talk about some stuff there for a while, and indeed, I'm sure that I do later in this playthrough. There's no way that I never talked about any of this during the playthrough. And at this point, we are actually caught up with where we realized we were having an audio problem, and we fixed it, and you have normal commentary again. So that's all you're getting out of Jacob. That's all you're getting from this segment of Jacob Explains the Star Wars. Will this ever happen again? Probably not. I think it was a good thing that we did this a little bit later, though. There was no need to bog down, the beginning of a Star Wars playthrough explaining Star Wars. But we've got a little explanation here and a little bit of a discussion, a couple episodes in, for anybody who wants to listen to it. Now on with your regularly scheduled programming. Okay, let's hope that doesn't happen again. We haven't had a screw up like that in like 3 or 4 years.
That's been like 3 years, I think.
Yeah.
It's been a minute, yeah.
It's been quite some time since we've had an error of that scale. Though errors of that scale seem to happen frequently.
Oh, hey, you lost a little bit of health.
Sure.
Yes, we've already established
I honestly
that if
didn't realize.
If we miss jumps, we lose a little bit
I was
of health.
probably sleeping during that part.
Seems unlikely to me.
Yeah. And now we must go and kill the true Dark Lord of the Sith.
I think the only thing of real value that we lost there, other than you wiping out to Ooga Booga instantly, was your guys' commentary during the when we were talking with the Jedi and the...
Yeah, and when Dathomir came up and we talked about...
I'll talk about that in a second, but the... What I was going to say
ready?
was that let's let Joey focus on this, and Joshua, you and I can talk for just a second, okay?
Okay.
Because I was going to say that we can
Yeah, you told us that. No!
That prompt literally killed you.
It didn't kill me.
during the conversation with the hologram of the Jedi, when he said, "I know your purpose," Joey was joking, like, what if he was like, you're a Sith because you are a Sith and you're here to do bad things? So they were both throwing in little comments every now and then. He was like, good luck and may the dark side be with you or whatever. There was some funny stuff there that we lost, unfortunately.
It's okay.
It's okay, we'll just beat the joke into the ground now and people won't understand the point of Inception.
No, it's fine.
Hail Hydra.
Listen, the funniest thing...
Oh yeah, you said Hail Hydra. Yeah, well, good luck, friend. And then when he said, "May the Force be with you," went, "And Hail Hydra."
Listen, the best thing you can do for a joke is explain it, like, over and over again. And it's like, it just gets funnier
Yeah.
every time.
Precisely. Yeah,
So
the
when
only...
none of you laughed at my joke, what I was really meaning was...
No, see, it's like you just don't get it. Because when Sonic Fortnite dances, it's because Sonic is something that I recognize, and so is the Fortnite dance.
That was no Joey.
Dab.
When that poster first came out, or like when the trailer came out, and I texted you about it, and you sent me that picture of you dabbing in front of the poster, and I was like, "Where did you find that?" And you were like, "I don't know, man. You said, "Who cares? It doesn't matter anymore. I'm so tired." And then the picture of the ending of P3, and I don't remember what I said after that, but something prompted you to go, according to the leaks, he will do a Fortnite dance at one point in the movie, and I said, "Please no." And then you said something to the effect of, "Obviously you don't understand. The joke is very funny because since Sonic is from an alien planet, he wouldn't know how to play Fortnite, so it would be very difficult for him to get an epic victory royale."
It's really... Whoa!
That's not great.
This guy... Okay, yeah, this guy's a lot more aggressive than the other ones.
Yeah. Yeah, he uses his specials a lot more.
He's more confident than the other ones, and with good reason.
That was a nice perfect block. That's what you need to be doing good at, is the perfect block.
This is Bogdo is no rookie. He's a
Bogdo.
10-year vet.
You know, honestly, that's funnier than Ooga Booga, is Ogdo Bogdo. That sounds like a boss from The Legend of Zelda, like a water boss.
He does have multiple eyes.
Yeah, but they're not giant and glowing.
Who knows? Maybe they'll be giant and glowing when you kill him.
Oh, I was
That
like...
was it was trying to give you the prompt to pick up the little Titanfall 2 helmet. It's distracting to me how similar that looks at a distance.
What?
Compared
Why
to
did that not
Titanfall 2
work?
I gotta love
helmets.
the whiff. The patented Star Wars whiff.
Patented Star Wars whip.
Well, yeah, there's that entire fight in the episode 3 fight where they just don't hit each other for 10 seconds. That's the Star Wars whiff, my dude.
I tell you what, this episode is actually going to be a lot more efficient because we had to cut stuff, because now the front 20 minutes will be fast forwarded to cutscenes, and it'll be like a minute and a half.
Yeah.
What? No!
That means for all of you folks at home, this episode is just going to be more bang for your buck, and I'm sorry if any really hilarious stuff got deleted along the way. The only thing you really missed was our conversation about ethics in game journalism. That was a joke, by the way. We didn't talk about ethics in game journalism.
Not this time. Yes! Oh my god!
Yes!
Ogdo Bogdo defeated.
I did it, guys!
Defeated.
Did I get... I got some... Alright. I feel a little... Oh, he's still around. I can't walk through him.
But you've got more. You got a chest and an echo, so hopefully these will be worth it.
What are you?
This will all be worth it. What else is that? What does that remind me of?
My pheasant.
Hey. Is it trying to defend its family?
Okay.
2 more to increase maximum life. Okay, all right. So that's like your God of 4 treasure hunt things.
He's gone.
Can you open that chest or not?
No.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I will have to come back to it.
Did it say you need your scomp?
Yeah.
Scomp.
Scomp.
What is a scomp?
Scomp.
Scomp link. You have to be able to link your scomps
like the
together to be
Gomp
able
It's
to...
droid.
like it's like a Bafam
Scomp.
dad.
The scomp.
It's like a Bafam dad.
Oh, dude, the Baphmos? I love my Baphmo dads.
It's not as good as Jelly from Skyward Sword.
Jelly.
Jelly.
What's your... Joshua, explain the way that you name Star Wars characters, because I think it's the best. Because here's the thing.
I
With
kind of
Star
wanted to
Wars
save
is,
that in case we ever play KOTOR 2.
well, we can
'cause I really
explain
wanted-
it now. Who cares?
Yeah.
Josh, you and I are never gonna play KOTOR 2 on this channel.
You're
Can
right.
I get over there?
No, you can't run
can't.
on those walls.
So yeah, no. The way I always, whenever I play
Well, hold on,
KOTOR,
before you explain, because we got to note something about Star Wars, which is that like it's a weird series because sometimes people have totally normal names like Leia and Luke and Ben. And then they get into the weirdos Bizarro Land stuff.
where it's like
what is
where it's Plo Koon.
I will go over
Plo
there in a
Koon,
second.
yeah.
Yeah.
Plo Koon,
yeah, but-
Isla Sakura.
Yeah, that's so the way I figured out the way that you need to make your Star Wars names is you think of one of your favorite food items. You think of some food. It's got to be like at least like a pretty long one.
It's gotta
word
be
or like two
multiple words or a lot of syllables in one word.
Yeah, and then basically what you do is you butcher that name, like you just add some like A's and E's to it. And like split it up and like where
Yeah,
maybe
split
there's
up
an,
the-
and maybe where there's an S you add a Z or something. And so I've done like
I was letting you scan it,
I think the first one I ever did was mac cheese or mac on ches. That was the first one I did. I can't think of any of the other ones off the top
What
of
did
my
you just-
head.
what did you
I
just-
did carne asada or carne asada. I did that one once.
What is that?
What, carne asada?
What's the food? Yes.
It's like
I can't
it's like a type of meat on a freaking Mexican thing.
And what's the what did you just do in the Outer Worlds? What did you name your character in that? Remind me.
Oh, I named it Red Burrito.
Yeah, but how do we pronounce it?
It's
Reedbo Rito. Yeah.
It's Reedbo Rito.
I wanted to ask, but I've never got around to it.
Because you saw him playing Outer Worlds
Yeah.
earlier.
Yeah, this is carne asada, Jacob.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Reedbo Rito is named after the other half of Hardee's / Carl's Jr. at some locations, the Red Burrito. I don't think you can go up the zip lines.
That's
I think that was where you just were. I believe was the way back because you're going.
I think I did Chick-fil-A once.
How did you pronounce it?
I don't even remember. It was actually really similar, but it was just split up into different words.
Yeah, what you have
I can't remember a lot of
Basically,
them
you
off
have
the
to
top of
do
my head.
is just break it up into different syllables. Like either mush syllables from different words together or split a word into multiple words at syllable breaks. Maybe even not at syllable breaks if you want to be a real animal. And pronounce it really weird. Throw a couple umlauts in there.
Yeah, like,
an apostrophe.
I just came up with one.
What?
Hamburger.
Hambu Roger. Hambu Roger.
Like-
His
like, this
name's
is how you-
Roger. Best pilot in the galaxy.
Yeah, like see, this is how you do it.
All right, so I mean, there's still plenty to do on this.
Yeah, but I
planet.
think we're done here for now. We've got 2 new planets to go to now, my guy. We'll talk about Dathomir some more in a second, since the recording where I talked about Dathomir has now vanished into the oblivion.
That's
Every
a leg.
single video that I have watched of this game so far, somebody goes to the leg instead of the landing platform, and I was desperately hoping, since we stopped to take note of the landing platform not flipping into the ground, that you wouldn't make that mistake, and you did anyway.
Listen.
BD1, this is Grease. Hey, Grease.
What is that? Get off my sofa! Get off my sofa! Go! Get out of there! Get out!
That is BD1. He's with us.
I don't care who he's with. Do you have any idea how hard it is to get oil stains out of petroleum weave fabric?
Not really.
Totally
I hope you
weave.
found something better out there than this droid.
Oh, calm down, Breeze. He did.
Damn, just on the droid, why don't you?
The vault was built by an ancient civilization called the Zepho. A Jedi named Eno Cordova hid something inside of it.
What did he hide inside?
A holocron from the archives. It contains a list of Force-sensitive children.
The next generation of Jedi. I knew it! Ah, Cordova, you old fool.
You knew him?
Yes, a long time ago. I was his apprentice. Cordova was a loner. That little droid and I are probably the only ones that know about Pagano.
Hold on, wait a minute. A hollow what?
A holocron. It stores information, but only accessible to Jedi. Hang on.
Oh, so he's our fish out of water.
Yeah, to explain the things
The
that
things
these
that
Jedi
the Jedi
weirdos
would
would
know.
know that the audience may not.
So there you go. The Sith ones are triangles, and the Jedi ones are cubes.
Yeah, because the pyramids are evil.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's correct. Because they were built by ancient aliens.
Oh, you're right.
Oh!
I regret to report that both our Jedi Order and the Republic have fallen.
That's the
that was
broadcast that he
kinda
sends
sad.
out at the ending of episode 3.
With that list of Force sensitives, we could rebuild the Jedi Order and defeat the Empire.
I think you're kind of skipping some steps there. Like, I don't think just a few people. I don't think a few people with some laser swords are gonna be enough.
You say that, but ultimately one guy with a laser sword was kind of enough.
Well, I mean,
I suppose he had a whole army behind him.
He had a whole
but
army.
whatever.
It would take a lot of Jedi to defeat an entire legion of
My
his
best troops. Or some teddy
or
bears.
some teddy
How
bears.
come you're no longer a Jedi?
Okay, thank you. We need to ask this
Yes.
question before we hand Shady Lady a list of all of the Jedi in the
Changed
galaxy.
my perspective. So I cut myself off from the Force.
But you still want to rebuild the Order.
I believe that rebuilding the Order is the best chance we have against the Empire. What do you believe?
I believe I can't keep hiding from the Empire, so I don't really have a choice.
Cal, as long as you're alive, you will always have a choice. Are you with us?
We're in.
Dathomir or Zepho, it's your choice.
Alright, so before we head out, I'll talk a little bit about Dathomir very briefly.
Well,
Yeah, well, you go and customize your lightsaber. Dathomir is a planet that I don't know if it was introduced in the Clone Wars, but is prominently featured. Oh, they give you a little meditation point back here. Prominently featured in the Clone Wars television show. I believe it is Darth Maul's home planet, but the main feature of it that is important is that it is the home of the Night Sisters, who are kind of a.
Are these the only two colors I can get?
That's all I think that's all you've got right now. I imagine there's probably more, and they don't want to spoil them. Would be my guess. I don't know that there may not be more, but I would be surprised if those were the only two in the game. Yeah, the Night Sisters are a legion of kind of a little cult of dark side users who mostly do who do all kinds of crazy, wacky dark side stuff. But they're not exactly Sith. They have kind of a completely different power set and abilities. They kind of do voodoo magic type stuff. If we wanted to slap it into kind of trope parlance, they do voodoo force things. The only reason that people think they're like super duper goofy is because they're referred to as witches in universe, and when people hear a Star Wars character say the word witch, they go, "Oh, that's silly."
But a Jedi is just a wizard.
Is a wizard, yeah,
He's
exactly.
a space wizard.
So it's whatever. Anyway,
I did fish and chips. That was the other one I did on one of my playthroughs. I did like fish
on
chips. Yeah, like
fish on cheeps.
Cheeps. Yeah, that's what it was.
Fish on. You have to really break. Oh, what's this?
Hey, Grease, what's this thing?
What? You've never seen a terrarium before?
No, I played
Don't they
Terraria.
usually have plants in them?
Well, I've been a bit busy.
Oh my gosh.
I love this.
Let's
already.
find the 4 bonsai trees and place them here, and we'll be given infinite Jedi
It's out
power.
there, you betcha. But when it's behind a comfortably thick wall of embarring glass, that's perfection.
All right, I'll see if I can find any.
All right.
So, are there any
There's
towns
another
in
little
this
interact
game?
prompt. Let's see if you already got some seeds. There was an interact prompt. I doubt there are any towns. You're walking around with a lightsaber. You're a wanted criminal.
Would look better with some plants.
No, all right. I thought maybe.
I cut
you'd have
enough.
something.
Listen, Minecraft, you beat a plant, you get seeds.
That's
I believe
precisely what I was
20 of
thinking. You
them.
cut a bunch of plants up. So what if you got seeds? But is that a coffee maker?
Yes, it is. It's a Keurig.
Calfee.
That's a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away Keurig.
Do we have? Can we drink Monster Energy drink just like Norman Reedus in the galaxy?
No,
far,
we
far
gotta
away?
have. No, it's a different game. You gotta have Bang in this one.
Well, you can get Coke is canon in Star Wars now thanks to Disney World.
Really?
Oh yeah, because you can get Coca-Cola and a couple of other drinks at the new Star Wars
my
land,
God.
and they gave them in.
Okay, that looks like there's
they put them
going
in
to
little
be,
special Star Wars.
That looks like there's going to be
bottles.
5 or 7 planets. That's the only way that map makes sense.
What a great what amazing pull numbers you just pull out there.
What you gotta say?
Seer, can you feel the Force at all?
Yes. But instead of opening up, I push it back down. The exact opposite of what you should do.
Out there, I remembered something about myself before the Purge. It was painful, but like I found a piece of myself.
That's good. You're learning to embrace the Force again.
How can you say that?
Because I know what it means to live without it.
Okay,
But you
I'll
can.
keep trying.
You can.
She said she had something happened that made her change her perspective.
Yes, but
I remain.
That sounds like a Sith.
Like, Leia, let's be very clear. We're
Just stab her.
not handing this lady.
What she's doing to help? What is she doing to help us? She's already given us our MacGuffin hunt. How about we just stab her?
I will handle this myself.
Plot a course.
I'll handle the holocron.
Okay, so where are we going? Zepho, or
so
you
we
wanna
can go to Zepho or
Bogano
Dathomir.
Dathomir.
Dathomir is much more difficult.
Yeah.
I
Let's go Dathomir.
I watched someone who tried to go there first, and they got their ass kicked. We will be going to Zepho first.
All right.